The Grand Archon of the Maraxian Empire stood before the Galactic Council, his crystalline carapace gleaming under the chamber's ancient lights. His voice carried the weight of countless conquered worlds as he dismissed their warnings with a wave of his primary appendage. "These humans you speak of, they are barely more than primitives," he declared. "They have only recently mastered faster-than-light travel. Their colonies are scattered and vulnerable. Your concerns are unnecessary." High Counselor Thera's bioluminescent patterns flickered with concern. "Archon Kextal, you misunderstand. Humanity's technological advancement is not what makes them formidable. It is their adaptability, their resourcefulness, their sheer determination." "Enough." Kextal's interruption echoed through the chamber. "The Maraxian Empire has subjugated 1,000 species. We have crushed civilizations that make humanity look like insects. Your warning is noted, but unnecessary." 3 standard months later, Kextal would remember this conversation with bitter regret. The attack on humanity's outer colonies began at dawn, standard galactic time. The Maraxian fleet emerged from slit space with devastating precision, their quantum cannons targeting communication arrays first. New Eden, humanity's most distant colony, never had a chance to send a warning, or so they thought. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Hyperion, watching the tactical display with eyes that betrayed no emotion. The reports from New Eden had stopped abruptly, but not before a single compressed quantum burst transmission had made it through. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of what they were witnessing. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the final moments before New Eden's communications went dark. The colony's AI had managed to compress terabytes of tactical data into a fraction of a second transmission. Shield frequencies, weapons capabilities, ship configurations, everything they needed to know about their new enemy. "They're following a standard conquest pattern," her tactical officer, Lieutenant James Rodriguez, observed. "Taking out communications, then defensive installations, then civilian infrastructure. They expect us to break quickly." Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. "They expect us to behave like every other species they've conquered. That will be their first mistake." She turned to her communications officer. "Send word to all colonies. Initiate Protocol Omega." Around the room, officers straightened. Protocol Omega was something they had drilled for, but never expected to use. The complete shutdown and evacuation of all outer colonies, but not in the way the Maraxians would expect. As the orders went out, Chen opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "This is Admiral Chen. The Maraxians have made their move. Request permission to execute Operation Ghost Fleet." There was a moment of silence before the response came. "Permission granted, Admiral. Show them why the Council warned them about us." The next 12 hours saw a flurry of activity across human space. To the Maraxian observers, it appeared that the humans were panicking, abandoning their colonies in disarray. Civilian ships fled in all directions. Military vessels seemed to be making random jumps to different systems. Chaos. The Maraxian commanders reported to Archon Kextal, just as expected. But they didn't understand what they were seeing. They didn't realize that every civilian ship was following a carefully choreographed escape plan, that every seemingly random military jump was part of an intricate strategic dance. They didn't notice that the colonies weren't being abandoned. They were being transformed. As the Maraxian fleet approached the third human colony, confident in their inevitable victory, they had no idea they were sailing into a trap that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Admiral Chen watched the pieces fall into place on her tactical display. "Send word to all ships," she ordered. "Operation Ghost Fleet begins in 30 minutes. Her crew worked with quiet efficiency, knowing that humanity's response to this unprovoked aggression would soon show the galaxy why you should never underestimate the human capacity for innovation in the face of extinction. The Maraxians had ignored the Council's warning about humanity's unique capabilities. They were about to learn why that was a mistake they would never forget. The Maraxian fleet commander, Sub-Archon Vexnor, watched with satisfaction as his ships approached the human colony of Artemis Prime. Their previous victories had been almost disappointingly easy. 3 colonies had fallen with minimal resistance, their defenses crumbling before the might of Meraxian weaponry. "Status report," he demanded, his crystalline form reflecting the tactical displays surrounding his command pod. "Colony defenses are minimal, Supreme Commander," his sensor officer reported. "We detect scattered emergency broadcasts, civilian vessels fleeing in disarray. No significant military presence." Vexner's satisfaction grew. These humans were exactly as weak as the Archon had predicted. "Begin the assault pattern." Standard protocol. But as his ships moved into attack formation, something changed. The fleeing civilian ships suddenly altered their courses in perfect synchronization. Emergency broadcasts ceased all at once, and from the shadow of Artemis Prime's largest moon, something impossible happened. The void itself seemed to ripple. Admiral Chen's voice was calm as she gave the order that would change the course of the war. "Activate quantum mimetic arrays. All ships. Execute pattern Hydra." Across the battlefield, human vessels that had appeared to be simple civilian transports shimmered and transformed. Their hull configurations shifted, revealing weapon systems that had been perfectly masked by bleeding-edge holographic technology. But the real surprise came from the moon's shadow. The quantum mimetic arrays, humanity's most closely guarded technological achievement, deactivated in sequence. Where there had appeared to be empty space, an entire battle fleet materialized. Not the crude warships the Meraxians had expected, but vessels of a design they had never encountered. Impossible. Vexner's crystalline form vibrated with shock. "Their technology is primitive. They cannot have mastered quantum camouflage." But they had done more than that. The human ships moved with unprecedented coordination, their formations flowing like water, adapting to every Meraxian response. Each vessel seemed to anticipate not just enemy movements, but the movements of their fellow ships as well. "Sir," his tactical officer's voice cracked with stress, "their ships, they're networked. Not just computer systems. The humans, they've linked their minds directly to their vessels." The neural integration system was humanity's answer to the superior technological capabilities of their enemies. Unable to match Meraxian technology directly, humans had instead found a way to merge their consciousness with their ship's AI systems, creating a hybrid intelligence that could react and adapt at speeds no purely artificial or biological system could match. Admiral Chen felt the familiar sensation of her mind expanding as she merged with the Hyperion systems. Around her, her crew did the same, their shared consciousness forming a tactical network that encompassed the entire fleet. They didn't just coordinate their actions, they thought and moved as one. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The Meraxian fleet, for all its technological superiority, found itself facing an enemy that seemed to break every rule of warfare they knew. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will, their quantum mimetic arrays making it impossible to distinguish true ships from holographic decoys. Worse, every time the Meraxians adapted to a human tactic, the entire human fleet would instantly shift to a new strategy, as if guided by a single mind. In a way, they were. "Target their command ship." Chen communicated through the neural network. The thought was instantly translated into action as her fleet moved in perfect synchronization. The Meraxian command vessel found itself caught in a three-dimensional crossfire. Shots that appeared to miss their target curved through space in impossible trajectories, guided by gravitational manipulation technology that the humans had reverse-engineered from fragments of alien tech found in archaeological digs. As his ship's systems began to fail, Vexner finally understood the warning the Council had tried to give. Humanity's strength wasn't in their technology or their numbers. It was in their ability to take different pieces, biological, technological, tactical, and combine them in ways no other species had imagined. The battle for Artemis Prime lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the mighty Meraxian fleet was in ruins, and a quantum burst transmission was already racing toward the Meraxian homeworld. Its message was simple: your invasion fleet has been destroyed. We are coming. You would be wise to remember why the Council warned you about us. In his command center on the Meraxian homeworld, Archon Kextol received the news of his fleet's destruction with growing horror. But worse was to come. Intelligence reports indicated that the humans weren't simply defending their territory anymore. They were preparing to strike back. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the center of Earth's most secure research facility, surrounded by holographic displays, showing the remnants of Meraxian technology salvaged from the Battle of Artemis Prime. Her team of engineers and scientists worked with focused intensity, their neural implants allowing them to process and share information at unprecedented speeds. "Show me the weapon signatures again," she commanded, and the AI system responded instantly, projecting detailed analyses of Meraxian energy patterns into the air around her. What the Meraxians didn't know, what no alien species had fully grasped, was that humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. Ever since humanity's first contact with alien artifacts, they had demonstrated a unique ability. They could not only understand alien technology, but improve upon it in ways its original creators never imagined. Where other species specialized and refined single technological paths, humans excelled at combining disparate technologies in revolutionary ways. Dr. Patel, one of her colleagues, called out, his neural implant transmitting his excitement directly into the team's shared consciousness. "Look at these power conversion ratios. The Meraxians are actually wasting energy with their current configuration." Maya smiled. The Meraxians, like most advanced species, had developed their technology along purely logical lines, refining and improving the same basic principles for millennia. But humans had taken a different path, driven by their chaotic creativity and ability to make intuitive leaps that defied conventional logic. "Cross-reference their shield harmonics with the gravitational manipulation data we gathered," she instructed. "I have a theory." In orbit above Earth, Admiral Chen was receiving a real-time feed of the research team's progress through her neural link. The Hyperion had been retrofitted with prototypes of several new systems based on their analysis of Meraxian technology. But what they were about to attempt went far beyond simple reverse engineering. "Admiral," Maya's voice came through the neural network, "we've cracked it. The Meraxians use quantum-locked energy fields for their shields, but they never considered combining them with gravitational manipulation. We can create a feedback loop that will not only penetrate their defenses, but turn their own shield energy against them." Chen processed this information through her neural link, immediately grasping the implications. "How soon can we implement this?" "That's the beautiful part," Maya replied, her excitement evident even through the neural interface. "We've already developed a retrofit package that can be transmitted to all ships through the quantum network. Installation and calibration will take less than 6 hours." Throughout human space, preparation for the counter-offensive continued at a pace that would have seemed impossible to outside observers. Humanity's neural networks allowed for instant sharing of information and innovations across vast distances. Every breakthrough, every insight, every new development was immediately available to every human ship and facility. But the true secret of humanity's rapid advancement lay in something more fundamental than their technology. It was their unique cognitive architecture. The ability to think both linearly and laterally, to combine logic and intuition in ways that other species found almost impossible to comprehend. Where the Meraxians saw technology as a set of established principles to be refined and perfected, humans saw it as clay to be reshaped and reimagined. They didn't just copy alien technology. They dreamed of ways it could be different, better, combined with other technologies to create something entirely new. In the Hyperion's Tactical Center, Shen reviewed the latest updates from Earth's research teams. The Meraxian technology they captured had been a goldmine of information, but not in the way their enemies might have expected. Instead of simply copying their advanced weapons and shields, human scientists had found ways to transcend the original designs. All ships reporting ready for retrofit implementation, her tactical officer reported. Engineering teams standing by. Chen nodded, feeling the collective anticipation of her crew through the neural network. Begin the upgrade sequence, and send word to all fleet commanders. Operation Paradigm Shift is now in effect. Across human space, ships began implementing the new systems. But they weren't just installing copies of Meraxian technology. They were installing hybrid systems that combine Meraxian quantum physics with human gravitational manipulation, neural interface technology, and innovations that had never existed before in the galaxy. In his palace on the Meraxian homeworld, Archon Kekstal received reports of strange energy signatures from human space. His scientists were baffled by readings that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they understood them. But they couldn't know that they were detecting only the surface of humanity's true capabilities. The humans weren't just preparing for war. They were rewriting the rules of what was possible. And soon, very soon, the Meraxians would learn just how dangerous it was to underestimate a species that could not only adapt to new technology, but transform it into something greater than its creators had ever imagined. The combined human fleet materialized at the edge of Meraxian space, their quantum mimetic arrays deactivating in a cascading wave that made it appear as if a new constellation had suddenly blazed to life. Admiral Chen, her consciousness merged with both her ship and the fleet's tactical network, felt a moment of grim satisfaction as she observed the enemy's reaction. The Meraxian border fleet scrambled to respond, but their movements seemed sluggish, predictable. They hadn't adapted their tactics since their initial assault on human space. They hadn't needed to, until now. All ships, execute Protocol Thanatos, Chen commanded through the neural network. The order flowed through the fleet's shared consciousness like electricity through a circuit. The human fleet split apart in a maneuver that would have appeared chaotic to outside observers. Individual ships and squadrons seemed to move at random, but through their neural link, every captain and crew knew their role in the intricate dance that was about to unfold. The Meraxian commander's first indication that something was wrong came when his ship's quantum-locked shields began to flicker. The humans weren't just firing conventional weapons. Each shot was precisely calculated to create a cascading resonance effect in Meraxian shield matrices. Impossible. The Meraxian commander's crystalline form vibrated with distress. They cannot have decoded our shield harmonics so quickly. But they had done more than decode them. The human ships were firing gravitationally guided projectiles that curved through space in impossible trajectories, each shot precisely timed to hit multiple shield generators at exactly the right moment to create a feedback loop. Meraxian shields weren't just failing. They were collapsing in ways that turned their own energy against them. Through the neural network, Chen coordinated the attack with a precision that no conventional command structure could match. Each human ship acted as both an individual unit and part of a greater whole, their actions synchronized down to the microsecond. Second phase, Chen ordered, and the fleet's formation shifted again. The new hybrid weapons they had developed came online. Meraxian quantum technology merged with human gravitational manipulation created localized space-time distortions that trapped enemy ships in temporal eddies. Ships caught in these fields found their reactions delayed by crucial seconds as time itself flowed differently around them. But the true horror for the Meraxians came when they realized what the humans had done with their captured technology. The quantum-locked energy fields that formed the basis of Meraxian defensive systems had been repurposed into offensive weapons. Human ships created overlapping fields that didn't just penetrate Meraxian shields. They turned the enemy's own defensive energy into a weapon against them. They're not just using our technology, one Meraxian scientist reported in panic to their command. They're using it in ways we never thought possible. The battle quickly turned into a rout. Meraxian ships, designed to fight conventional enemies with conventional tactics, found themselves facing an opponent that seemed to break the laws of physics with every attack. Human vessels appeared and disappeared at will, their quantum mimetic arrays making it impossible to distinguish real targets from holographic decoys until it was too late. Through it all, The neural network allowed the human fleet to act with impossible coordination. Every successful tactic was instantly analyzed and adapted across the entire fleet. Every Meraxian response was countered before it could be fully implemented. In his palace, Archon Kextal watched the tactical displays with growing horror as reports of the battle reached him. His border fleet, one of the proudest formations in the Meraxian military, was being systematically dismantled by an enemy they had dismissed as primitives mere months ago. "Send in the reserve fleet," he ordered, his voice carrying the sharp edge of desperation. "All of it." But even as the orders were given, his tactical advisors were detecting massive quantum surge signatures. More human fleets were emerging from stealth, not just at the border, but at key points throughout Meraxian space. They had used the border attack as a diversion, sending their main force through areas they had already mapped during the Meraxians' own invasion attempt. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile as reports of the other fleet deployments reached her through the neural network. The Meraxians had launched their initial attack believing that humanity would be easy prey. Instead, they had given humans access to their technology, their tactical data, and most importantly, their territory. "All fleets proceed to designated targets," she commanded. "Show them why the Council's warning should have been heeded." Across Meraxian space, human ships began their carefully coordinated strikes against military installations, shipyards, and command centers. Each target had been selected not just for its strategic value, but for its psychological impact. The Meraxians were about to learn that humanity didn't just fight wars, they rewrote the rules of warfare itself. And as the Meraxian Empire's carefully constructed military infrastructure began to crumble, Archon Kextal finally understood the true meaning of the Council's warning. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, their tactics, or even their neural networks. It was their ability to take their enemy's greatest strengths and turn them into weaknesses. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Archon Kextal approached the speaker's podium. His once pristine crystalline form now showed stress fractures, physical manifestations of his empire's humbling defeat. The same council members who had warned him about humanity now watched as he prepared to formally acknowledge his species' greatest military disaster. 3 standard months ago, I stood in this chamber and dismissed your warnings about humanity, he began, his voice carrying none of its former arrogance. I believed, as many of us have believed, that technological superiority and military might were the only measures of a species' strength. I was wrong. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Chen watched the proceedings through a quantum feed, surrounded by her command staff on the bridge of the Hyperion. The neural network carried the collective satisfaction of humanity's combined fleet commanders as they witnessed this historic moment. The Meraxian surrender had come just 2 weeks after the counteroffensive began. Their carefully constructed military infrastructure, built over millennia, had crumbled in days before humanity's unprecedented tactics and hybrid technology. But it wasn't just military defeat that had broken the Meraxian Empire's will to fight. It was the realization that everything they believed about warfare, about technology, about their own superiority, had been wrong. "We thought we understood the rules of warfare," Kextal continued, his words echoing through the chamber. "We thought we knew the limits of what was possible with our technology. The humans showed us how limited our understanding truly was." The council chamber's displays showed footage from the decisive battles. Human ships performing maneuvers that defied conventional physics, using Meraxian technology in ways its creators had never imagined possible. But more importantly, they showed what happened after the battles. Instead of destroying their defeated enemies, the humans had offered reconstruction assistance. Their medical ships had treated injured Meraxian crews with the same priority as human casualties. Their engineers had helped stabilize damaged Meraxian infrastructure, preventing humanitarian disasters on civilian worlds. But perhaps the greatest lesson, Kextal said, his voice growing stronger, was not in how the humans fought, but in how they won. They had the power to destroy us utterly. Instead, they chose to show us a better way. Dr. Maya Patel, watching from her research facility on Earth, nodded in satisfaction. The peace terms humanity had offered included technological exchange programs, joint research initiatives, and cultural exchange missions. They hadn't just defeated the Meraxians, they had turned them into partners. The humans have a saying. Kextel continued, "The best victory is one where you gain an ally instead of destroying an enemy." Today, I am here to announce that the Meraxian Empire formally requests permission to join the coalition of aligned worlds under humanity's sponsorship. The announcement sent ripples of surprise through the council chamber. The Meraxians, who had stood apart from galactic society for millennia, were voluntarily joining the interstellar community. And they had chosen humanity, the species they had attempted to conquer, as their sponsors. Admiral Chen felt a surge of pride through the neural network as she remembered the words of Earth's leadership when they had drafted the peace terms. "We'll show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to win wars. It's our ability to forge peace from the ashes of conflict." The Galactic Council's approval was unanimous. As the chamber erupted in the various sounds and signals that indicated approval across multiple species, High Counselor Thera's bioluminescent patterns formed the complex pattern that indicated deep satisfaction. "Let this be a lesson to all," she announced, her translator converting her thoughts into standard galactic basic. "The Council's warnings are not given lightly. But perhaps we too had underestimated humanity. We warned others of their strength in war, but failed to see their greater strength, their capacity for transformation, adaptation, and reconciliation. In the decades that followed, the galaxy would see the truth of those words. The Human-Meraxian Alliance became a cornerstone of a new age of galactic cooperation. Their combined technological and cultural exchange programs revolutionized fields from quantum physics to xenosociology. And in the great archives of the Galactic Council, a new warning was added to humanity's file. Approach with respect, not for their capacity for war, but for their ability to turn enemies into allies and transform conflict into cooperation. They are not merely survivors or warriors. They are architects of change. The humans had proven that their greatest strength wasn't just their ability to adapt and overcome. It was their power to imagine and create a future that even their enemies could share. And that, perhaps, was the most human victory of all.